Coming up this week, off screen.
The story of the Boston Marathon bombing comes to the screen with Patriots Day.
Dane DeHaan tries a cure for wellness.
George Best is all by himself.
Xavier Dolan assures us it's only the end of the world.
Nicolas Cage unleashes some Southern fury.
And French drama comes with some sweet dreams.
All those to come and more off screen.
This is Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. Off Screen. With the latest film news and reviews, this is Off Screen, the on-screen radio show.
Welcome to Off Screen, I'm Van Connor.
I'm Case Allen.
And we're back for another week of fun-packed film reviews, film news, box office top 10.
Yeah, I've got about 75 pieces of news.
It's always good to have too much, I think, rather than too
much
little.
from too few.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We should start with a little bit of housekeeping, because last week's show wasn't our normal. You and I were in separate locations.
We were. I was in a bunker.
You were in a bunker. I was here in Flashpoint. So we had our new remote recording facility set up, and I think we were about 95% of the way there. There were a couple of little glitches. And
Yeah,
then,
there's a few little tweaks to be done, but at some point we will never have to set foot in the same room ever again.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
You'll never have to see me again. Can you imagine that? The wonders of
I will
technology.
never darken your door with my beard ever again.
Exactly. Right, so loads to get through this week. As you say, loads of film news.
So much.
There's 6 premium films to get through as well. Well, okay, maybe 3 premium. three premium, 2 less
couple
premium.
of budgets.
Exactly, yeah. And then the Nicolas Cage one. And
Which is
let's
ultimate primo.
Yeah, ultimate.
Yeah.
That's beyond premium. That's just platinum. That's what that's platinum quality.
I bet you £5 Nicolas Cage stars in a film called Platinum within the next 5 years.
Would not surprise me.
Yeah.
And he is a man covered completely in liquid metal.
He's just kind of like working his way through the dictionary. He's just like, I've not made a film yet, name yet.
I think that's what it is. But so we've got all those. So should we start with the first half of the box office top 10? Get that out
Let's
of the way.
do that now, yeah.
And we'll move on to all the cinematic goodness as soon as we've gotten rid of our top 10 obligations.
Number 10.
Moonlight.
Which is really, really, really good.
Despite what some people have said.
Despite what some people said. That, we can't really...
We're not going to talk about that, but let's
Yeah.
just talk about the film at hand,
Let's
which
talk about the film at hand.
I thought was great.
You were a big fan. You saw this before me and
but
you
then
talked
again,
it up.
I'm a white man, so of course I'm going to...
Exactly.
I can't not talk about it.
You're a privileged white middle-class man.
Of course,
so,
yeah. No,
so,
it's fantastic, isn't it?
It really is good.
Yeah.
It's one of those films that it's as good as an actual film as it is to just witness, to watch as a work of moving visual art. It has, from my perspective, it has the wondrous neon glow of a Michael Mann mid-80s film with a sort of that urban sensibility.
It's got those
Spike
blues
Lee.
and the purples and the pinks. And...
It does, and those performances, great performances, particularly from Mahershala Ali. I like Naomi Harris a great deal in it, but I also like all 3 of the performances of the central character.
Sharon.
Yeah, because I only remember Trevante Rhodes because he's been cast in other things since, but they're all kind of unknowns to begin with, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't recall seeing them before. I mean, when you think about it, the whole cast, it's not really... I mean, Mahershala Ali has really just become a name within the last year, and he's been working towards that for a few years now.
Well, he's the latest J.K. Simmons, isn't he? I've been in everything, and you're finally learning my name.
Yeah,
Thank
now
you.
give him my Best Supporting Actor Oscar.
Exactly.
And hopefully he will, but we'll talk about it next week.
Number 9.
Blah Blah Land.
Hollywood Sing Street, is that what we're calling it?
Did you watch
The Honest Trailer?
The Honest Trailer.
Yeah, has no one seen
Hollywood.
Sing Street, really?
Yeah. Yes.
And funnily enough, when it got towards the end of the year, I think I neglected to include Sing Street when we got to the top 10 of the year last year, and I really should have.
It's great.
It's so good, and I love John Carney's films. But anyway, on to La La Land, which is not Sing Street. I don't think La La Land is as good as Sing Street, just FYI.
But I do really like it a lot.
It's very, very good. It's not as good as Sing Street, but, a few things in life are.
It's a different film. Don't compare.
Oh, yeah.
Don't compare a martini to Guinness.
Well, exactly.
Like,
I mean,
you know what I mean?
we're preparing Days of Future. We're comparing Days of Future Past to Godzilla. 2 very different films.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more X-Men talk next week. So La La Land, great performance from Ryan Gosling in the lead. Almost said Ryan Reynolds there. Emma Stone, I don't think has as much to work with in the same level of flair.
Really, I feel
She's got a bigger character.
Yeah, I feel like she is the lead, and I think she's definitely got as much to do.
I feel like she gets saddled with a lot of whining unfairly. And he just gets to kind of be cool. It's unbalanced in that way.
Well, he's a musician.
Exactly. Is this the story of your life? Is it?
Kind of goes over territory. You find that
Story of
musicians
your
tend
life.
to be a little bit more kind of laissez-faire and just kind of go along with stuff, and people in drama will just make a lot of things about them.
This is what we're getting here, people. An insight into the world of Case Allen. Before being married, he spent his evenings lounging around jazz clubs, thinking, "Why can't I find someone to love me for who I am?"
Still do, and I'm already married.
Exactly. And then La La Land came along and answered it all for him and spoke to him on a personal level. It is fun. It is
Are
flighty.
you positing a world where me and Ryan Gosling are comparable as human specimens?
I think I did. Wow.
You're a beautiful person. Let's move on.
Apparently I am.
Number 8.
Tiger.
That is a line. That is
a
the
line.
MGM line as well. That is actually that one.
Is it actually?
Actually, that's the 2008
That is-
version of the MGM lion.
That is commitment to lines. So
really
well done.
is.
Yeah. So, Lion,
Lion, which I really enjoyed.
which I enjoyed way more than I thought it was going to.
I think it was undersold. I think it was sold with a very schmaltzy looking ad campaign.
It was that fluffy Weinstein, fluffy Weinstein Oscar film that they always put out.
Yeah,
every
exactly.
year,
And
and it's really not.
It's not, is it at all? There's a lot more going on for it, and it is a lot more sincere and a lot more half. And you can be very cynical about it based on that marketing campaign.
Yeah,
but I think
definitely,
that's
yeah.
unfair. I think that's doing it a service it doesn't deserve. I think the performances are great, particularly Dev Patel and Nicole Kidman. I think David Wenham is so
great.
unappreciated for this film. I think it's not
Yeah.
Oscar worthy, but it's a very, very good performance.
I can't wait to see him in the Iron Fist
Oh yeah.
trailer.
Oh
yeah.
he is. He's the villain. Isn't he?
He's your big bad. in
Is
that.
he the token? I took over your dad's company, but I used to be his friend, but secretly I'm the villain character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he is. Yeah.
That's-
He is Hamlet's uncle. He is Scar, essentially.
Really, because
The
we're
Lion
going to
King.
talk about that film yet. I'll tell you what, let's
We
get
are
the
gonna
top
talk
10 out of the
about
way, do the plugs, and then we'll do that.
Although I will just quickly say something about Dev Patel.
Go on.
I feel like he is the upset if Mahershala Ali doesn't win.
Ooh, yes. I think one of those two
Yeah.
those two guys needs to win that. And Lion is terrific, and you should see it.
Number 7.
That is the noise that I make when I wake up.
I can imagine. I can absolutely imagine.
T2, Trainspotting.
Which is very much one of those, an evolutionary film rather than a straight sequel. It is one of those stories. It's supposedly it is based on porno by Irvin Welsh. And
Sort of loosely.
Loosely, and it is a very, very loose adaptation. What they've done instead is taken the opportunity to say, hey, you know what? Let's look at what happens when these characters age and make the film about the process of aging. Make it about this. Because the story is really unconnected to the first Trainspotting. It's other than the ending of the first Trainspotting, there's not much in the way of you have to have seen the first to get this again. They are all sort of, new characters for all intents and purposes, but they're new versions of old characters. The fact that it has so much focus on the ennui of middle age is one of those things that will either really work for you in that you are looking for an evolutionary film, or it will put you off because you just want the sequel to the first film. I sat about halfway in the middle of that, to be honest. I didn't dislike it. I didn't particularly love it. I did enjoy it, though. And
It's just good to see those characters again.
exactly.
if anything else.
Although, let's be really honest about this one. Ewan McGregor really isn't trying to be anything more than Ewan McGregor at this point. There's no what was his character's name? I can't. Renton.
Renton?
Not so much Renton. He's just Ewan McGregor.
Number 6.
Hidden Figures.
The Help in Space.
I know, I feel like it is unfair to make that comparison, but
is.
it's also quite easy and we're sort
Apt.
of go. Yeah,
It is apt,
but it's because of the nature of it, and
it's the tone.
It's
as
totally
well.
the tone. Totally the tone. Here is my thing about the film. I really enjoyed it. I kind of saw it, not meaning to say it. It was like
It was a secret screening, wasn't it?
screening
Yeah.
that Odin do on like a monthly basis, and I thought this is a really, really fantastic story. I think there's 3 really great central performances.
They are
Any
indeed,
which
aren't
one
they?
could be nominated.
Janelle
for-
Monáe, Taraji P. Henson,
Yeah.
and Octavia Spencer. All 3 great.
Yeah.
No argument from me.
Absolutely. I just don't like the screenplay. I just found the dialogue just really stilted. And
You warned me about that as well.
Yeah, but I feel like it was literally me and my wife who were just like, this dialogue is really just...
Yeah, you said to me ahead of seeing it, be warned, it's got some of the worst dialogue you're going to hear this year. And I went in and thought, it's pretty hokey in places, but no hokier than
that's what
anything
it
in The
is.
Help. It had that level of, and I think it was that tonal consistency
think
with The
so?
Help. I think it's on par. I think it's very much on par.
There's a couple of characters that get a little bit shunted to the side. Mahershala Ali, but he's got Moonlight, so
Yeah, he's
don't care.
got
He's
no
alright.
role in this film. His job is just to be, hey, studly military guy.
Yeah.
/ potential love interest.
Yeah, let's get married.
Let's get married.
I've known you for 2 days.
Really, it's the Frozen scenario. That's what it is.
Cool. Should we have a little bit of film news?
Go on, what you got?
Okay, so let's kick it off with something that you have just alluded to.
Oh, was this? Yeah, go on.
Okay, so this is amazing. So we know that Disney are doing a Lion King.
Live action. Well, it's not we can't call
reimagining.
it live action, can we? Really?
I'm still going to call it live action because it's going to be mocap.
Yeah.
So it's still live action.
in the style of the Jungle Book from the director of the Jungle Book. Yeah.
Because it made all the money, and who doesn't love Jon Favreau? Tell me, who doesn't love Jon Favreau?
Exactly. It was a great film, though, wasn't it? Jungle
Exactly. So 2 pieces of casting. The first, well, arguably the 2 biggest pieces of casting news to come from it. James Earl Jones will be back as Mufasa.
That is amazing.
Which is just that gives me hope that Nathan Lane will be back.
I want Jeremy Irons back.
That too.
That's it.
You got to get Jeremy Irons.
In fact, just
got to
get
Jeremy
the
Irons.
entire original cast, but no one's going to mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, no one's going to care. No one's calling you lazy.
Apart from Matthew Broderick.
No one wants Matthew Broderick back.
Because Adult Simba is going to be played by Donald Glover.
Great. Love it. I mean, I'm sold.
Because he essentially lives at Disney now, doesn't he? Because now he's in Spider-Man. He's in Spider-Man Homecoming.
He's in Star Wars.
He's going to be Lando. And now the live action. So I feel like there's crossover because...
Do you feel like maybe they just gave him this gig because they thought, you know what, he's going to have a lot of breaks in the middle of all this Han Solo gumph, so let's just give him something to do in the
Give him a
meanwhile.
mocap suit to put on, like, in between wearing the Lando cape. And,
there's going to be behind-the-scenes footage of him in a mocap suit with like that Lando afro thing.
and the Lando pencil stash.
Exactly.
Hello, what have we here?
But I really want Jeremy Irons to come back as the film because I don't know how else you do that.
Me too.
Other than...
I feel like the only thing standing in his way is the fact that he is in-house at Warner Bros.
Yeah, there is that.
But
you know
we
what?
shall see.
Just get Idris to do it again.
Because Idris is in-house at
Idris is in-house at Disney now,
Yeah.
so Idris can do it. He did a great Shere Khan, why not? And let's plug the podcast real quick then. Extended version of this show. We didn't get to do any podcast extras last week for time reasons. So this week we're going to review Sweet Dreams and Best in the podcast extras with some of our 74 pieces of film news.
I'll probably give you about 50, 56 pieces. We'll see.
Exactly. Yeah. So pop along to Acast, iTunes, TuneIn.
Are we on Stitcher? Is that a thing?
Stitcher is now Deezer. But yes, we are.
Oh, nobody tells me nothing.
But yeah, so just download the free podcast edition of Offscreen on there. Get your extended edition through, and you know what? We have some fun. We have a moment of cage.
We have some japes, don't we?
We have some japes, some capers.
With the latest film news and reviews. This is Offscreen, the on-screen radio show.
And we're back. So, Mr. Allen, should we start with the first and probably the most high-profile release of this week?
Yeah, I think we should. So this is by Peter Berg, starring his best mate, Marky Mark, in Patriots Day.
3rd time in a row as well. 3rd Peter Berg film in a row that has been A, a true story, and B, starred Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, and 2 coming almost within 12 months.
Well, that's it, because...
In fact, when was...
Deepwater Horizon
that was
about
only
4 or 5 months ago.
I think it was about September, so yeah.
Wow, yeah, it was a fall movie, wasn't it? Deepwater Horizon.
They must have shot about back to back.
So.
A fall movie.
A fall movie. Do you think Mark Wahlberg did that bit that they parodied Ben Affleck for doing in Family Guy, which is I got to be Henry VIII in 20 minutes.
Yep.
Hello.
Got it.
I've got to be investigating Boston Marathon bombing in 20 minutes.
Let me see if I can get a Boston accent on.
I can't. I can't. I'll get it eventually. And yes, that accent is back, obviously.
Good.
Have you seen Patriots Day yet?
I have not. I've not seen it.
So, let's say, third one of these in a row then for Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg. And wouldn't you know, it's another flag-waving, pro-Republican, all-American hero movie. This one does not have the stupidity of Lone Survivor. It doesn't have the brilliant Irwin Allen sort of sensibilities of Deepwater Horizon. This is very much a down-and-dirty, true story, on-the-street look at the Boston Marathon bombing, which was 2013, I believe now. So, you've got an ensemble cast. The events, obviously, of that day take place. The bombs go off during the Boston Marathon, and you have a series of what appear to be unconnected stories. So you have, for instance, this small town New England Police Department in which J.K. Simmons works, for instance, and we get little glimpses of him here and there. We get a nurse, for instance, and her boyfriend. We get a glimpse of them. We don't know how they're going to tie in. And what you've got is basically the opening 5 minutes of an episode of Casualty, where all these unconnected elements are going to they're going to come together eventually. It's just a question of how. And what you then get is this taut procedural look at the days following and the investigation of the Boston Marathon bombing. We have a clip.
Had 3 fatalities that we know of. One's a child in the street in front of the farm.
What are they doing?
What? I said that's an 8-year-old kid under there.
No, they can't move the body. We got to clear them out. Tell them to clear out of there.
Sorry, Sergeant. Could be clues in the blood splatter, bomb residue on the boy's body. We can't risk moving him. Nothing moves.
What's the matter with you guys? You gonna tell that boy's parents that their son's still lying on the street?
Turn it down. All right, just
All
let's go over
right,
here.
Billy. All right.
We've got to decide who's running this, and we have to decide quickly.
If it's terrorism, it's yours, Rick.
Gentlemen, the moment we label this terrorism, everything changes. It's not about Boston anymore. It's not a local investigation. It's Wolf Blitzer. It's stock markets. It's politicians. Knee-jerk reactions, anti-Muslim backlash. And what if we're wrong? I mean, there's no take back. I've been through this before.
If we don't call it what we already know it is, and a cell is activated, and they hit Chicago or New York or Washington, what happens then?
The accusations are going to come no matter what we do.
Kevin Bacon, John Goodman, and Mark Wahlberg there. Now, that's a good trio to have in a film, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. So,
Yes.
Right. I'll start with the really good stuff, because there are bad points to it, but they are symptomatic Peter Berg bad points. That's the worst part. There doesn't seem to be a slow motion American flag in this one, by the way. I did check.
But is there the prerequisite end credits montage of...
Let me get to it. Just let me get to it, because I promise you he's taking it to a whole new level this time, but there is no Peter Gabriel cover, mercifully.
Yeah.
Right, so the actual story of the actual cinematic storyline of the film, the actual Boston Marathon thing, very, very well done. And by utilising the seemingly disconnected storyline idea, what they come up with is a very clever way of telling the story. This is an internet. I don't know if you know this, that this film is made up of 2 separate films merged together. There is a Casey Affleck film folded into this.
I knew that was coming.
There were 3 coming. There was Mark Wahlberg, Casey Affleck, and Jake Gyllenhaal.
But I didn't know that they're like interlinked.
Yeah.
I thought they were just 2 separate
The Casey
projects.
Affleck one has been
They're
dissolved.
actually going to be included.
No. The Casey Affleck one was dissolved, and that its script was incorporated into this.
No, that's still happening.
Is it still happening? No,
That's
I know
still
the
happening.
Jake Gyllenhaal one, which is stronger, that is still coming. The Casey Affleck one, which was called Boston Strong, is in this. And the film makes a very big song and dance about that title as well. It's all online, you can find it easily. I think it's on the wiki page.
Because it was going to be David Gordon Green.
I believe so. The writing behind it all is actually quite sharp. The procedural stuff really lands. It really works. You are gripped, but you're gripped in that way that Peter Berg can handle very well. If you remember The Kingdom in 2007, which I actually think is Peter Berg's best film, will always be Peter Berg's best film. This, for me, comes a close second. And Very Bad Things comes third, just because I love that movie, and I think Jeremy Piven's terrific in it. Also, who doesn't like seeing Christian Slater? Anyway,
Also, who doesn't like Jeremy Piven? Me.
how do you not like Jeremy Piven?
Because it's Jeremy Piven. Apart from...
Do we need to hug it out?
It's 10 years, man! 10 years! That's the best thing he's ever done.
But no, because we're going to get to John Cusack later. It hits its story beats as well as it hits its emotional beats. And its emotional beats do actually land. There is a terrific scene, for instance, in which Mark Wahlberg returns home just to get 5 minutes peace and quiet, and all of his family are waiting, or his extended family are waiting for him, and he just flips out. And it seems unfair in the moment. We think, actually, yeah, it's a really emotionally resonant scene. And Mark Wahlberg plays it pretty well. I mean, he's still doing his, I seen you eating lunch alone, you loser routine. I've seen him still doing the whole Ted accent, but it works for what it is. But there's also a couple of things in there. Melissa Benoist from Supergirl. Really genuinely great performance in there. She plays the wife of one of the bombers.
Yeah.
And it becomes and apparently it's a question that endures to this day as to whether, how much did she know? Was she a willing accomplice? There is a scene, and you'll have seen it in the trailer, in which she's interrogated by Candy Alexander from CSI Miami. And she's the interviewer, and she's wearing the hijab as well. And the scene they have together is genuinely chilling. It's a brilliant scene, and it's the standout scene of the film. That and the Wahlberg freaking out bit, they are terrific. J.K. Simmons gets one of the most realistic shootouts you'll see this side of Heat. And you know what? Everyone goes home happy. Except, before they have a chance to do that, Peter Berg decides to end a film the only way he knows how. Only this time he's beefed it up a bit. What you remember Lone Survivor ended with a montage, didn't it?
Yeah, Peter Gabriel covering David Bowie.
Yeah.
And then
lots of shots of soldiers holding flags and staring off into the middle distance.
There's a lot of that going on. And then Deepwater Horizon. I forget what the song is. Is there a song, or was it just?
I don't think there's a song. They were just photos,
some music. But are just photos.
Photos of the real guys. This time, here's what he does. He takes the 2-hour, 15-minute movie you've just seen, and then he gives you all the big moments from it, but the real people. And and it goes on for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're sort of thinking, I've just seen the movie. I know it's real because I know it happened. And also, you opened the film with based on true events. So, yeah, even you know that we know it's real. Why are you showing us this?
Maybe he's just really proud at how accurate he got it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, look what I did. It's a spot the difference.
It kind of works like that. Although I will say, in some cases, they do look weirdly like the real people, the actors. Other weird thing about it, he does this whole 10-minute documentary, never stops to mention that the Mark Wahlberg character is fictional. But, yeah,
right.
Never stops to mention that. Because it's also weirdly coincidental this Mark Wahlberg character keeps showing up at all the important events of the film. And you're thinking, there's no way a real guy did that. Because
but that being said, I feel like there is almost certainly a Boston person that every single Boston character that Mark Wahlberg has played is based on a Boston person.
Do see it. I think you will like it.
I
think it's
definitely.
Peter Berg's second best film. I think it's after The Kingdom for me. I think The Kingdom is his benchmark. This is number 2.
I think Deepwater Horizon is my favourite.
It's towering inferno at sea, isn't it? It's so much fun.
How could you not love that? And I've got a friend who works in the oil industry, and he said that he saw it, and it was basically just like a big kind of like oil nerd out fest for him, because he was like, look at all these companies that I work with.
My dad works in shipping, and they had the same thing with Captain Phillips. So,
Oh, look at that container.
I know. Look at that container.
Wonder what's in that. Oh.
They got them rivets just right.
Riveting.
Yeah, do see it anyway. It is intriguing. Should we move straight on to It's Only the End of the World, because we're pushed for time?
We are a little bit. So this is Xavier Dolan.
Xavier Dolan, who was once like this nebbish 20-year-old wonder kid, and is now what, he's like 28 now? 28-year-old French-Canadian maestro, as it were. And he's adapted this play. What he's done is he's cleverly repurposed it. We've not got a clip because it's all in French. He's cleverly repurposed this into an all-stars of European cinema affair. So, Léa Seydoux turns up. So, Marianne Cotillard turns up. So, Vinny Cassel turns up. So,
Vinny Cassel.
Yeah, Gaspard Ulliel turns up. So, Hannibal Lecter himself, the young one, turns up. And what's that? Doesn't he do a perfume advert or something as well? That I'm not going to be who you want me to be anymore. That's all I know him from, really.
That guy. Yeah, he was the fan choice to be, what's his sparkly face in
Sparkly
Twilight?
face? Ugh.
Who's what Patterson played?
Pattinson, Edward Cullen.
Edward Cullen. Yeah, he was sort of like the fan choice for Edward Cullen.
Fair enough. So the idea is Gaspard Ulliel's character is he's a gay writer. He is not so much a stranger to family. He's just not been home in 12 years. They don't know an awful lot about him. He keeps himself to himself. He discovers he's dying. And in order to break this news to his family, he decides, I'm going to go home for the first time in 12 years, just chill, kick it with my family, get to know them a little for a couple of days, break the news, and then I'll be on my merry. Of course, they don't know that he's dying, so when he turns up, all the old familial angst bubbles to the surface. His brother, for instance, has issues with abandonment, his younger brother having walked out on them. His mother feels that he's intentionally pushing her away. He's never met his sister-in-law, and he finds something of a kinship there. His younger sister, obviously, he has a great relationship with. And it is how these relationships are reignited, how old tensions come back. And it's a really cleverly put together thing. It comes from a play, and you can tell. It has very much an emphasis on character above all else. The performances across the board are great. It's nice to see Léa Seydoux actually breaking away from type as well. So there's not so much of that I am taciturn and somewhat ominous in my non-verbal persona. None of that. She's actually got a character for a change. Marianne Cotillard gets to play the sympathetic one. And she's really kind of sweet in it. You kind of find her really weirdly lovable. And then, of course, Vinny Cassel is kind of a nasty git, really. There's no other way to put it. But yeah, it's all on Gaspar Ulliel, though. Really liked him in this. I've never quite warmed to him in anything else I've seen him in. I think I actually fell asleep during Hannibal Rising the first time I watched. I just found him so uninspired. And
I never actually saw. Is Rhys Ifans in that?
Yeah, he's the guy who tortured Hannibal and killed his sister. That's the idea. That's how Hannibal Lecter became Hannibal Lecter, because requisite tragic origin story. Yeah, couldn't just be that he was mad. Just had to be something. Oh,
Had to be something that
and then
kicked
he
it
got raised by a ninja, and that's it. That's
Batman was raised by ninjas. A little bit.
exactly.
Kind of.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter and Batman, same origin story.
Yeah.
I will say this: I did come away from it thinking, actually, yes, there was really something to that, and I want to see it again. And it's a film that doesn't particularly push its luck with the runtime. It's quite nicely compact. It does make its points very clearly. It knows what it's going for. It's quite obvious that Dolan has somehow connected with this material. There's a visible investment on his part in the things he's doing, and you can tell that something about this play has at some point really resonated with him, and he sees something of himself in it. It does end as well with what I didn't realise until I saw this is my favourite way to end a movie, which is the Bourne approach, which is, you know what? Fade up the Moby, slow walk into the sunset. That's how we're ending this. And it's a Moby track too. That's the weird thing. You wouldn't expect this movie to have a great soundtrack. It does. It does.
Does Moby do the whole soundtrack?
No. Moby has the end track. It's Natural Blues. Natural Blues by Moby.
Okay. Yeah.
Used in exactly the same way that Extreme Ways is used in the Bourne series.
We do it in Heat as well.
They do it in Heat as well? And it's Michael Mann, isn't it?
Yeah. What's that?
Michael Mann has
What's the
also
Moby
used
song?
Moby.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In Heat.
No,
At the
Michael
end.
Mann used Moby in Miami Vice. He used.
Let's just say that a lot of filmmakers are fans of Moby.
It seems so. Yeah, really good soundtrack all the way through, though. Genuinely, if you're in an art housey mood, do check this out. You'll be quite surprised by how well it works, and also just how accessible it is. There's something really gripping about it. And I never thought I would believe Gaspar Ulliel and Vinny Cassel as brothers. I do now. And I think Vinny Cassel is...
Vinny Cassel's got one of those faces, hasn't he?
He really has. He could just be everyone's brother. He just looks like he could be... You could cast him in a movie with Denzel and he would convincingly play his brother.
Yeah, you'd be like, all right, I can buy that.
I'll buy this. And that is the wonder of Vincent Cassel.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen.
And we're back. Was it Vincent Cassel who had the rock star brother?
Yeah, whose name is Rusty Squats.
That's it! Oh, man, that's good.
Rusty Squats.
Okay, before I give you some film news to cover, should we finish the top 10 for the week?
All right, then.
Number 5.
The Great Wall.
It's not the Great Wall.
Is this the Donald Trump film?
That's what they're going to call the retrospective one in a few years' time. The
Yeah.
retrospective documentary about that monument we make before the world ends. We make the video that tells the future species how we ended. It'll be called the Great Wall, and it'll start with that.
Do you know an episode of Simpsons where Seymour Skinner gets the mafia to like rebuild the school, and it's all
Yes.
made of like popsicle sticks and shellac.
Another
and
one,
stuff.
yeah.
I feel like that's what the wall will be made out of.
Well, in the case of this wall, it's made of an intense need for Chinese box office dollars.
Yeah.
So, and you feel it all the way through. Matt Damon's not particularly bad in it, but he's on Elysium form. That's the way I'm going to phrase it. He's on Elysium form.
I remember when there was loads of photos of him with a ponytail, and the internet kind of stopped for a minute, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm doing a film," and everyone was like, "What?"
Yes, he did, didn't he? He did press for... Well, it might have been The Martian, wasn't it? He was doing press for The
and he
Martian
had,
had the ponytail.
Yeah, it was kind of like when he was making Elysium, and he had no hair, and everyone was like,
Everyone's like...
"What's going on, Matt?
What's going on, Matt? Come on.
Is everything okay?"
Do we need to talk? He's quite likeable in this. Pedro Pascal from Game of Thrones, worthy Antonio Banderas-esque sidekick.
Red Viper.
Red Viper. Sorry. I was going to say Red Mountain, so you're okay.
That's like a blending of the two.
Blending of the two. And that almost happened, I think, with the popping. I think there was a lot.
Oh, spoiler.
But, too many Game of Thrones spoilers there. I did like The Great Wall for what it was, but you had to view it as this sort of cheap and cheerful, although it's not actually cheap, but, morally and ethically cheap and cheerful early 90s spectacle feature. Yeah. It's the kind of thing that has clearly been designed. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the script has been around for 20 years. I would not be surprised at all to find out this script originates in the 90s and has now just been dusted off because someone's found a way we can appeal to Chinese audiences. And you do feel it. Although, it's not bad. I couldn't call it bad.
Number 4.
Sing.
We're not doing the Ed Sheeran thing. Don't worry. You keep looking at the screen, waiting for the Ed Sheeran thing. I don't really think there's an awful lot left to say on Sing.
No, it's X Factor with a koala.
X Factor with a talking animal cast and celebrity voices.
Yeah, that's not a bad time, is it?
Exactly. To be honest, it's one of those. If you want a slightly more mature film for the. I mean mature by like 3 years. If you want a film that's about 3 years more mature for the Alvin and the Chipmunks crowd, look no further.
Yeah. Number 3.
I'm thinking I'm back.
John Wick Chapter 2.
You loved that, didn't you?
I do, and I'm still not seeing it. I'm kind of waiting until I've finished everything I need to do this week, and then I'm going to treat myself to seeing Keanu shoot people in the face.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Okay, so credit where it's due with John Wick. It is, as far as Keanu Reeves' action sequels go, it's one of the better ones. It does world building a little bit better than Matrix Reloaded did, and Reloaded, yeah.
It's Reloaded then Revolutions.
Yes, it is. And then whatever the hell the inevitable fourth one's going to be called, because that's clearly getting rebooted now. If Keanu Reeves is talking about it,
he was talking about it the other day.
It's happening.
Yeah.
But the problem with John Wick 2 is it knows what everyone liked about the first movie, but it doesn't want to just settle there. It doesn't want to give you more of the things you like. It wants to try and expand with a lot of world building and a lot of setup for further installments. So, for instance, the Lawrence Fishburne character.
That to me, I mean, also I've not seen it, but that to me is not an inherently bad thing. If we can have a 21st century version of Death Wish with Keanu Reeves, I'm fine with it.
It is a little bit Iron Man 2, though, in the way that it does it. So it does stop dead at one point for the Lawrence Fishburne character.
Wait a minute,
so that,
you're saying something negative and slightly derogatory about Iron Man.
About the second Iron Man.
Tony Stark's still in it.
Yeah, but, Tony Stark also appears in The Incredible Hulk, and no one has a problem bashing that, so...
I'm going to have to take away all your Tony Stark branded sunglasses until you start saying nicer things about it.
Good luck, there's too many of them. Anyway...
You'll never find them.
But yeah, so the Lawrence Fishburne character is entirely there to set up the third film, for example. Yeah. And it does feel a little bit wearing. You would rather it was an encapsulated storyline like the first one was, but you know what? You do leave the screen with a smile on your face and a bullet in your heart, so... What's not to love? It's more Keanu Reeves gunplay. It's more, bullet-fueled balletic action. It's gonna satiate you. You will enjoy it, but you won't love it the way that you love the first movie. It's not quite that shot from nowhere that the first one was.
Number 2.
And speaking of a shot from nowhere that nobody really wants, 50 Shades Darker.
Which is just so bad. It's so bad. It makes the cast of Twilight look energetic. That's what I would genuinely say about it.
Have you seen Robert Pattinson recently?
I haven't,
handsome beard he has.
Oh, I tell you, I saw him in The Childhood of a Leader.
Oh, yeah.
He was in there. I thought he was quite good in that, actually.
I like him. I like Robert Pattinson.
But not that Cosmopolis, though. That was dreadful.
Oh, my God, the limo film.
The David Cronenberg limo movie.
One, yeah.
But anyway, so, this is just bad. This is bad panto. It's so watery.
Oh, no, it isn't.
It's so watery. It's so pandering. It's such a victim of behind-the-scenes interference, and interference from its own creator, no less, that you find yourself sitting there...
So, like the first one?
No, the first one had Sam Taylor Johnson? Yeah. Had Sam Taylor Johnson, who was clearly trying to make a serious film.
And they famously fell out. And this is E.L. James's husband that's written it.
Yeah. And this time you've got James Foley directing it, and his response quite clearly is, I don't want her to yell at me anymore, so I'm just going to do what she asks me
Which is a shame, because he made Glengarry Glen Ross.
I know.
And this could have just been a sexy Glengarry Glen Ross. Everybody wants that.
And you know what? James Foley? I'm sorry, but no. Cinematic gravitas is for closers. You are not a closer.
Number 1.
The Lego Batman movie.
Which we both love, let's be honest.
I mean, I've seen a film where Gentleman Ghost appears, so I can die. I can die happy now.
Condiment King. I've seen Condiment King. Condiment King on the big screen. I know, and the Sphinx and Eggman and all these classic Batman villains. Yeah, Batman villains that you'd forgotten were actually a thing back in the Adam West era. And and that's what I like about Lego Batman. It's not ashamed to be on the campier side of Batman, but it's also just as willing to take on the darker stuff, and I quite like that about it. It's found a wonderful middle ground that somehow allows it to also appeal to kids. Yeah. Who'd have thunk it?
And it's one of those films where, like, after the 6th or 7th watch, you'll still find things about it. For example, Jason Mantzoukas voices the Scarecrow.
I did not know that.
And the Riddler, Conan O'Brien.
No way.
Yeah, go and see it again, son.
I did know that Lando Calrissian is Harvey Dent. but
Yeah,
didn't really
which
have much to
just
do.
made me so happy inside.
But no, definitely see the Lego Batman movie. Everything is still awesome in the Lego world, and this film finally kind of confirms that for you.
Yeah.
So, some film news for me then before we do Southern Fury.
Okay, cool. So today is a day of a week ending in Y.
It is.
So
what's the Rock done now?
That's literally what I was about to say.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
That generally was what I was about to say.
What film has the Rock signed up for?
Okay, so
What's he done?
if
Go
you
on.
weren't aware, Rock makes about 4 films a week. now?
About that now, yeah.
Quite a few, yeah. He's partnered up with Stephen Merchant, who I love, and they worked together on The Tooth Fairy.
They did, which I
Um,
watched recently.
Oh, it's great.
It was on ITV2 in the middle of a
Because this
Sunday
guy's the
afternoon.
best, and some damn fool accused some guy of being the best.
Love it.
Amazing. Yeah, they've partnered up for a film called Fighting with My Family.
Yeah, I do know this one.
Yeah,
this is
he
based on
actually
Paige.
announced this a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, based on Paige, a WWE fighter. This sounds really, really promising.
It does. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember who the cast members are in this now.
Oh man, it's great. It's obviously your
Isn't-
man, The Rock. Nick Frost and Lena Headey were
That's
playing
it, Nick Frost
Paige's
was remember.
parents. I'm not sure if Steve Merchant is going to appear. I would
He'll
think he's-
cameo.
He'll
He'll
cameo.
cameo at
Yeah,
least.
it'll be P.I. Staker from Hot Fuzz.
Probably.
P.I. Staker. Recently, Vince Vaughn signed up, and apparently he's already started to shoot his scenes.
Have you heard who he's playing?
No, I have not.
He's playing a washed-up former 80s wrestler.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's great.
I want to see him in full macho man.
Oh, he'll have the long greasy hair.
Randy Savage
yeah,
kind of. Oh,
totally, yeah.
that'd be
I'm
incredible.
looking forward to seeing what wrestling cameos we get in it as well, because that could be quite
As
interesting.
am I, yeah. But this seems to have come together really, really quickly.
Well, Rock is appearing in it because he shot all his scenes in a day,
Yeah.
which absolutely explains The Rock
And
to me.
I
once and for
believe
all.
that his production company is
Seven
helping
Bucks,
to,
yeah.
7 Bucks Productions are helping to finance it as well. But I'm excited to see Stephen Merchant direct a film again. I don't think he's made one since Cemetery
Road?
is it?
Cemetery
yeah,
Road,
yeah.
yeah. Which was quite
I
good,
liked that. I like that, and I just love Stephen Merchant.
Yeah, no, I'll go with that. I did like Cemetery Road very much.
Yeah,
But-
right. So Southern Fury,
You mean Arsenal?
depending on what country you happen
That's it.
to be in.
So it had a title change for the UK because they thought we might confuse it with the football club,
Yeah, they.
which is that's the actual reason.
I want to see that. I
Yeah.
want to see a film about Arsenal starring Nick Cage.
This is the thing, because I was talking to the PR guys behind this, and I was saying to them, well, this is like when they changed the title of Neighbours to Bad Neighbours because they didn't want people to think they were adapting the soap into a film. Begging the question, where is this audience that's chomping at the bit for A, movie about the Arsenal Football Club, and B, a movie adaptation of Neighbours? Other than Kylie Minogue seeking another way to reignite her flailing film career, I can't think of anyone that would be excited by such a prospect. Although,
I remember when I was in school, I once got in trouble for singing an alternative version of a Neighbours theme tune, and I got told off.
sorry, I got lost in flashbacks of Holly Valance in the Neighbours era. It happens occasionally. It's my Vietnam. It's like an inverse Vietnam.
just started
I
hearing
have
Kiss,
pleasant-
Kiss,
yeah,
boy.
I have pleasant memories of Holly Valance instead. That's what it is.
Where did she go?
So she
Where
went.
did you go, Holly?
In fact, she's in Monte Carlo now. She's married to a billionaire. And
Good for her.
Genuinely, yes. I think she's married, and her sister is now on Neighbours. I believe there is a younger Valance who's now on Neighbours.
This is the biggest digression we've ever done in a show that regularly has at least 7 digressions.
Let's
per
talk about the
episode.
Eric Roberts Holly Valance starring video game adaptation DOA Dead or Alive, which
Well,
I
it's not.
paid money to see in 2006 and have genuinely watched about 4 times since. It is the Baywatch of modern cinematic greats.
You've seen it 5 times.
4. I've seen 4
okay.
times. And it's awful. But it's so gleefully aware that it's awful that you kind of have to forgive it. And also, Holly Valance is actually kind of fun in it. But anyway, that's enough about DOA. Let's talk about Southern Fury, the latest from
Which
Stephen-
she is not in.
She's not in.
Shame.
However, Sir Nicholas of Cage is.
Of course it is.
Right, okay, so this is the latest from Stephen C. Miller, rising low-level action director as he is. This sees 2 brothers codependent on one another, Adrian Grenier and Jonathan Skeach, both of whom starred in the previous Stephen C. Miller movie Marauders, which is incidentally infinitely better than this. Basically, Jonathan Skeach's character is a sort of down and out. He's down in his luck. He's indebted to Nicolas Cage's mobster character. He's trying to sell a large amount of drugs on the side. His brother is trying to get him. His brother's trying to get him on the straight and narrow. Nicolas Cage then kidnaps Jonathan Skeach, holds Adrian Grenier to ransom, and says, "Bring us 300k, or we're going to off Jonathan Skeach." Now, in the real world, Jonathan Skeach gets paid so little for these kind of films that 300 grand would actually seem like a really unfair deal. You'd see if you could bargain it down to about 30 tops. But this is the world of fiction, so Adrian Grenier tries to go out and get 300 grand. As assistants, he has John Cusack, who is a bandana-wearing, permanently sunglassed police officer. And the pair go out to try and recover the money to basically get him back. It's really bad. Here's a clip of Nicolas Cage, and I'll describe him to you after you've heard it.
So what's new? What are you working at these days?
I'm between jobs.
Sounds like me talking to the IRS. So what's it been, 6, maybe 8 years? Didn't you owe me some money? Didn't you, though? Yeah, you did owe me some money. You were supposed to come through on something for me right around the time you quit.
I figure we're even.
Oh, you think we're even, you and I? What'd you ever do for me? I did everything for you. You want me to make lists? I got you a job. I got you laid when you were 14.
Gave me my first line at 15. That was a great habit.
What?
Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, and believe me, that thought rings through your mind every minute of this film. So Nicolas Cage, for some reason that no one can adequately explain. I mean, this is one of those where scientists are going to be analysing this film for decades to come, just to try and get to the bottom of just what the hell was going on. Nicolas Cage is dressed as Tony Clifton. It makes no sense, but he's dressed as Tony Clifton. He's got this ridiculous Cyrano de Bergerac nose. I'm talking like this because I don't know why. And all the Southern Fury is contained entirely within the mind of Nicolas Cage in this film. Jonathan Skeech is delivering that same phoned-in thing that he's been doing for years now because he still can't seem to believe that he was ever cast in That Thing You Do. Adrian Grenier seems to actually believe that the fictional films that his entourage character was in are some sort of artistic pinnacle and is therefore aiming for nothing higher. John Cusack, I have no earthly explanation for in this, and it's kind of fitting that both Con Air actors are back and on such low form of an equal level. As for Stephen Miller, he is asleep at the wheel for most of this. He's tried to shoot it all as if it's actually shot through a bottle of bourbon, so the entire thing is bleached out yellow. It's got no...
Works as Steven Soderbergh.
Exactly. It's got no real flair, save for a little bit at the beginning, a beating sequence in the second act, and then this just rushed action finale that has a lot of shotgun blast in slow motion. The whole thing is really dissatisfying. It's really dull. It's poorly written. It's poorly acted. It's poorly edited. It's poorly shot.
You liked it, man?
It's a genuinely poor film, and the only fury that you'll genuinely feel is when you are leaving the screen thinking, oh God, oh God, oh God, why have I sat through 99 minutes of that? Oh God, why?
Did you count how many minutes it was while you were watching it?
Well, no, they give us press notes. They're written on the press notes beforehand, so we usually know how long we're going to suffer.
Wow, how the other half lives.
Exactly. Although I can tell you the next film we're going to review is 2.5 hours long.
With the latest film news and reviews, this is Offscreen, the on-screen radio show.
And we're back and dancing. So, final film to review this week. So you might as well give me some news then to tide us over what we got.
You want to have some news now? I'll give you some news right now, son.
Tease me with some news, Mr. Allen.
Tease you. Oh my, it's just too much. There's too much to choose. Let's talk about this, because this kind of warmed my heart a little bit, even though I don't particularly love the film.
Okay.
So, of sorts, we're getting a Love Actually sequel.
Yes, we are, aren't we? Yeah.
But not as we know it. Basically, it's going to be a 10-minute long short.
It's Love Jim, but not as we know it.
It's wonderful. Damn it, Jim.
Sorry.
It's all right. Derailed by a Bones reference.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's going to be a 10-minute long Red Nose Day special. With most of the cast returning. Richard Curtis is going to be writing and directing. We're actually making it right now. He says about 2/3 of the cast are going to be back.
Well, I mean, obviously, Alan Rickman's no longer with us, sadly. But Emma Thompson hasn't been confirmed as returning.
Emma Thompson is not going to be there, he said.
Which, I suppose, without Alan Rickman, that's probably for the best.
True, and also she's always exceptionally busy as well. She seems to always be working.
She has things on the go.
Absolutely. And it's great because she is great.
She's keeping an eye on the filming of Mary Poppins Returns. That's what she's doing.
She's waiting for a call. She's waiting for a call of that.
She's waiting for
How she's not going to be in that film. Come on.
I say they just have a background role for Pam Travers, and it's Emma Thompson. Totally
just some kind of walk.
Ginty. Ginty, the Lady Ginty.
Yeah, but that should be pretty good. So I believe that Red Nose Day is the 24th of March.
Something like that. I know it's filming now.
It's filming now, so it'll be ready in a couple of weeks. But we're getting Rowan Atkinson back, we're getting Hugh Grant back, we're getting Colin Firth back.
Nice.
Martine McCutcheon, because we've all wondered where she went for 15 years.
I think she's been sleeping on Dale Winton's couch, to be honest. I think that's probably it.
I feel like you have trackers in the heads of all these ladies from the early 2000s. It's like Holly Valance is in Milan or somewhere.
I always had a huge thing for Martine McCutcheon. I
always get really annoyed whenever I watch it at Christmas and the Prime Minister's secretary says that she's got big thighs, and I'm like, she doesn't. She's not fat. She's perfect. She's lovely. She's
I
really
never thought that was the joke. I really didn't. That joke
really annoys me.
confused me for years.
She's not at all. She's great.
But yeah. So honestly, let's move on to Cure for Wellness.
Yeah, from Love Actually to A Cure for Wellness, which is what a segue.
Right. Okay.
What a segue, Mark.
I'm gonna have to be very tactful with how I review this one because I want the impact to really hit you.
Yeah.
Right. So
try not to spoil too much because I'm going to see it at some point soon.
Okay. Dane DeHaan is a young, power-hungry upstart, a corporate shill, as it were, who is sent to a...
Goblin, yeah?
Kind of like that. In fact, he does play an awful lot of his Harry Osborn role in this. Who is sent to a remote clinic in a very mysterious clinic in the remote Swiss Alps to bring back his boss, his CEO, who has basically absconded and has set himself up for treatment there. The idea is that his company is about to have this big merger. It's going to become one of the biggest things in the world. There are some financial irregularities. They need the mental case boss to come back so that they can basically pin it all on him. Boss, by the way, is played by Harry Groener from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Anyway, so Dane DeHaan goes to the clinic. He discovers, actually, it's more like a fancy spa. And this treatment that everyone's having to get past the stresses of everyday life is water from the springs that this facility is built on that seems to have this sort of rejuvenating power. However, all is not quite as it seems. The doctor who runs the facility, who's played by Jason Isaacs, because why the hell not? And Jason Isaacs with just the greatest villainous German voice you've ever heard. Honestly, he's a masterpiece in this. He is getting somewhat cagey. He doesn't respond well to Dane DeHaan asking too many questions. Soon enough, wouldn't you know it, Dane DeHaan has a car accident and finds himself almost an unwitting patient of this facility, a facility that raises more questions than it answers. We have a clip.
Did it hurt?
Can't remember.
Better that way.
I saw you before. You a patient here? She's just so much younger than everyone else.
Director Volmer says I'm a special case. What about you? Are you here for the cure?
No. Actually, I was just leaving.
No one ever leaves.
Right, Dane DeHaan there with Mia Goth. Now, I'm trying to think... I'm going to go with this. First of all, it's great. Genuinely, you wouldn't believe it. This film is so much better than you've been led to believe. Here's how I'm going to pitch it to you, Case. Emo Shutter Island.
I'm on board.
Yeah. Emo Shutter Island from the director of the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, who seems to have basically gone out on a mission to make a dialogue-filled music video for My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, Dane DeHaan always looks like one of those guys who constantly is listening to bands like Hawthorne Heights and Finch from the early 2000s.
Yeah, you feel it in this film.
Yeah.
This is one of those films that is going to be remembered. I don't think it'll make an awful lot of money, but it's going to be remembered. It's going to be remembered in the way that, for instance, films like American Psycho are remembered. And I genuinely think it's got that cult appeal, that really satiating cult appeal that is going to see it actually have something of a legacy. This is going to be huge when it hits DVD.
That's really high praise.
It really is. I genuinely think this is going to be huge when it hits DVD. Now, as far as Gore Verbinski's work goes, he's trying for Scorsese, he's trying for Sam Raimi, he's even trying at times for Sucker Punch. And it's just brilliant. This is... I know. He's trying all these weird and wacky things.
Never before has anyone mentioned those three things within the same breath.
I know. It's weird, isn't it? Put it this way. This film is to Sucker Punch. This film is to Shutter Island what Sucker Punch is to anime. That's the best way to call it.
Right.
You can tell the influence. The fact that Dane DeHaan looks an awful lot like DiCaprio and behaves an awful lot like DiCaprio doesn't help matters, to be honest. It's damning praise to compare it to Shutter Island, and yet it's good for exactly the same reasons that Shutter Island is.
I like Shutter Island a great deal.
It's one of those films, I think it's a grower, not a shower. It's one of those films you love more in hindsight than when you actually watched it for the first time.
I loved it more, like, the third time I saw it.
I have the very same thing with it. Check this out. It's just so good. You just don't expect it. I mean, if this is the first you're hearing of the film, don't watch any trailers. Don't watch any marketing. Don't read any further reviews.
Go in blind.
Go in based purely off this that I'm saying now, and you're probably going to be blown away by this. This is really something. It's a tad over long. It's 2.5 hours. There is probably a good 20 minutes that you could waddle down. Yeah, but it's so mystifying and it's so ominous and it has such a weirdly ethereal sensibility to it that you think, actually, I'm in this. I don't mind the runtime. And that is why I'm giving it Film of the Week. So, there you go. Yep. There you go, it's Film of the Week.
I didn't mean my round of applause to sound condescending.
It sounded quite patronising.
I feel like whenever it's just one person, just...
That golfing clap.
Get a clip of a round of applause.
I think we should.
We should do that for future.
That golf clap, by the way, is what Wilson and I do in films when they use the title as dialogue in the film.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. We do a golfing clap. So yeah. So it's, well, G.I. Joe, it's time for some retaliation. You're like,
that was on last night, and I did not watch it because I don't like it.
For shame.
But yeah, I know exactly what I mean. It's like the hot tub time machine gag. When Craig Bob's just like looks.
It's like we're in some kind of hot tub time machine. Or my personal favourite, it's like you're astronauts on some kind of Star Trek. And
what have we got next week?
So next week, well, I think we all know what the biggie is next week. The man with the knife hands is back, and I don't mean Freddy. I do, however, mean not Edward either. Clever. Yes, James Howlett is back. Logan is here, and
I can't wait.
Do you know what? I've seen it, and I can tantalise you by saying, actually, it's probably in line with what you're hoping.
Good.
It's mostly in line with what you're hoping, so I think you're going to be okay. We also have Trespass Against Us with Brendan Gleeson and Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a cast, isn't it? That's going to be great. The Student is next week as well. The Viceroy's House with Hugh Bonneville and Gillian Anderson. That's next week. Certain Women is next week. Headshot is next week, but you know what? None of these matter because you know what else is next week, Case? It's a film you and I have been dying to see. The film we've been chomping at the bit, sat on the edge of our seats, waiting to see. It is the greatest matchup since Ali and Foreman, since Batman and Superman. It is
The Rock versus Kavonjine Wallace.
Well, yeah, I mean, now you put it that way.
I've ruined it now.
Yeah, you killed that. That's it. I now just want to see. I want to see a little girl beat up the Rock. That's all I want to see.
That's all I want. Maybe we'll see that in fight.
The Game Plan 2.
God.
Oh man, that's a Game Plan sequel right there.
Why don't we work for studios?
I don't
Probably
know.
because we say things like that.
Yeah. Anyway, so can we just talk about Fist Fight then? Hype Fist Fight up because Ice Cube, Charlie Day, Fist Fight,
Christina Hendricks,
Gillian Bell.
God.
And of course,
Tracy Morgan.
Our man Tracy Morgan. Oh man.
I'm a Jedi. I'm a Jedi.
I am a stabbing robot.
Werewolf bar mitzvah.
Oh man.
Anyway,
I need to watch 30 Rock now, yeah. So we've got all those to come and more next week off screen. This has been a Candy Store production for On Screen. I've been Van Connor.
I've been, as always, Case Allen.
And we'll be back.
Just show me the way to get out of here, and I'll be on my way.
You've been listening to Off Screen. For more news and reviews, visit onscreenfilm.com.
Okay, cut. That's a wrap.
Podcast extras, Van.
Always fun. So, give me some film news. Start us off then, Mr. Allen.
So much film news. Because, of course, we didn't really do that many pieces last week, so I've got some holdovers from last week.
Well, exactly. We had no podcast extras last week.
Yeah, so let's talk some pieces of casting.
Okay.
So I'll move on from something we did last week. I was talking about Jurassic World 2.
Yeah.
Ted Levine.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bill him very self.
Remember this? Oh, I know what you're going to talk about as well.
So now James Cromwell has joined Jurassic World.
You mean the man who came out with that line in Star Trek First Contact that we're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek? Almost as if we thought of this earlier. It could have been a brilliant segue.
Exactly. Rollo Tomasi himself. That is a massive spoiler, but too bad you've had 26 years or whatever.
Wasn't he Oscar nominated for a supporting role in Babe the Gallant Pig?
Yes, he was, but it's his only Oscar nomination.
Which is bizarre to me because How on earth?
It's a great performance.
Yeah, well, okay, fair
Yeah,
enough.
I mean, Babe is lovable, and he is not like upstaged
The
by Babe.
grumpy farmer. Okay, fair enough.
He plays it well.
He's joined Jurassic World 2. By any chance, is he going to be a
Not-
corrupt
not as a
businessman?
farmer. Possibly.
He's got to be.
Unless he's going to be the farmer from Babe. Shared universe.
I kind of always think of him now as Philip Bauer, Jack Bauer's evil father. And
right.
Yeah, and I kind of wish I couldn't, because that was a terrible season of 24.
Is he in the whole season, or is he just... Right.
He's the villain of the season.
I see.
It's one of those where they were trying to make it mysterious as to who the villain was, and I can blatantly
He's kind
tell.
of one of those actors where he'll show up in like every like kind of iconic show from the last 20 years for like a couple of episodes. Like he's in the West Wing for one episode as like an older president.
Didn't he play Prince Philip in something?
Yeah, the Queen.
Is it in the Queen he played Prince
Yeah.
Philip? Oh, okay.
Yeah, not the Crown. It
Not
was,
The Crown.
Matt Smith, and really, really good.
I've not seen any of The Crown yet, which is weird because I've been to a replica of the set from The Crown.
It's ace.
And
of course, with Netflix.
The Netflix Christmas party, they built a bit of the set from The Crown. They also built a bit from Narcos, which I've never watched either.
I've not. I feel like after watching Logan, I'm going to want to.
I did get to sit in the living room from Stranger Things, though, so I was quite happy about it. And gets even better.
Did the lights come on?
Yeah, they had the lights, and they had people behind the scenes, sort of moving through the wall, like arms through the wall. And things.
That is amazing.
It was kind of cool.
That's cool.
But
also from last week,
go on.
I told you that the Batman has a director.
It doesn't anymore, does it?
No, it does not. So, what the Batman?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, Matt Reeves, who came and went in what seemed to be the space of an afternoon, I think.
Yeah, which is a shame because it was all but confirmed, wasn't it?
It was going to be Matt Reeves.
He seemed like a pretty great choice. Like, really solid with material like that, and...
I know.
Do you agree? Do you not?
Well, no, I keep looking at the DC EU, as it's called, because they've just signed David F. Sandberg for Shazam.
Yeah, so he directed Lights Out.
Yeah, and they're getting him for Shazam. The problem I've got here is...
I didn't mind
it really
Lights
does
Out.
seem... I do think we're on a countdown now. We are on a countdown, and none of us know when that zero time comes, because when the 0 hour comes, Ben Affleck will quit. And I kind of feel like... when Justice League opens this year, and it's a god-awful... Sorry, when Wonder Woman opens this year, and it's a god-awful mess that everyone hates, and then Justice League opens, and it's a god-awful mess that everyone hates...
See, I don't think people are going to hate Wonder Woman, but I don't think many people are going to like it. I feel like they're going to say it's the best of... how many have we had so far? Including Man of Steel, we've had 3.
We've had 3, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be the best of the 4.
I think when you get to 5 of these films, and not one you can call critically well received, I think there's going to come a point when Ben Affleck just says, right, I'm out of here, and he's done. And you know when that happens, this is all going to basically have to be acknowledged as the grand mess that some of us are already calling it. This whole...
Which is a shame when you think about some of the talent that
that
is involved. And we don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. We don't know really why Matt Reeves left talks. It's one of those weird things that's kind of come out of left field because it seemed like a really good choice.
I'm willing to bet...
Who turns down Batman? Apart from Ben Affleck to direct it.
Just think about that for a second, right? Turn down Batman. Days into... I'm willing to bet you now that what actually happened is they got him into a meeting room, they told him what they wanted, and his response was, oh, no. Sorry, I'll wait for Apes 4. Thanks.
Yeah, because he's generally a filmmaker who likes to either bring in his own team or he'll rewrite a script himself or start from scratch. And
it could be anything. It could be...
He's not averse to taking on genre and another franchise,
It could be a creative control thing with Ben Affleck. We don't know that.
Possibly,
so
yeah.
Maybe Ben Affleck doesn't want to direct, but he still wants to call the shots. Yeah. Could be anything.
Hey, let's hop over the fence. Let's talk about Marvel for a bit, because I feel like you're about to bust an embolism.
Yeah, I always feel more positive when we talk about Marvel, because at least I know some good things are going to come. Marvel. Hang on, I got one for you for Marvel, because it ties into Stranger Things.
Go on.
Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things has been on the Avengers Infinity War set.
Yes, she has.
No one knows why.
No.
And that fascinates me.
It fascinates me because she's also working with Warner Brothers, because she's going to be in Godzilla, and her dad in Godzilla
is Kyle Chandler.
He's going to be Kyle Chandler.
That's brilliant.
Who should be everyone's dad.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
I've been saying that since he was, well, to be fair, since Friday Night Lights.
Yeah,
and then Super 8, which I think is really, really underrated.
You're a fan of Super 8?
I've really enjoyed it.
It never really did it for me.
I've got a Star Wars style Super 8 poster that I got from work years ago.
Well,
It's really
Super 8
good.
was Stranger Things before there was Stranger Things, wasn't it?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Spielbergian love letter.
Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah.
We have Stranger Things now, so we never need to think about Super 8 again.
That's it. But, do you know what? That wasn't my Marvel news. My Marvel news concerns Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, yes. What is this?
So that is going to be starting shooting this summer, because right
It
now
is.
they're shooting Infinity War, as you just said.
Of
They're
course.
shooting Black Panther. They're basically having, like, many films on the cooker.
They've got a
nowadays.
lot on the hob. They've got a lot on the hob.
Because now we're moving into a year where we're having, for the first time, 3 Marvel films.
It's true, isn't
in a
it?
year.
This year.
Exciting. Michael Douglas has confirmed that he will be back as Hank Pym.
Now, this is weird to me because this got reported and I looked at it and thought, actually, that's not news because he'd already confirmed it last year.
He kind of semi-confirmed it.
He semi-confirmed
but
it, and now he's confirmed it.
It's official now because
Yeah,
he's now
it's
signed a
just-
contract.
it's now official,
I think
yeah.
it's now officially news because he wasn't signed up to one of these infamous Marvel 5
the
picture
boilerplate
deals or
agreements.
The boilerplate, yeah. It was kind of like a one and done thing. So it wasn't absolutely kind of guaranteed he was going to be back. But
I
it seemed to have
feel like
a really good time when he was on set.
I feel like actually the fact that Michael Douglas only signed a contract for one film was quite deliberate because there was a lot of anticipation in the run up to Ant-Man that Hank Pym was actually going to turn out to be the villain. There was an expectation. I don't know if you remember.
There was
this.
that, yeah.
It was widely expected that because somewhere
He's
along
had a
the
bit of a checkered past in the books.
well, somewhere along the line, the fact that the Pym particles caused mental instability came up. In the pre-release, it actually came up, and that was why you had to have the Ant-Man helmet, and that's why
That's probably
that was the idea that it was going to be that Hank Pym had gone nuts over time, and he was going to
it's
be
that,
the
and
villain.
he's also Yellow Jacket, and Yellow Jacket is obviously
And that was it.
the bad guy, but that's kind of not exactly how it played out. I'm glad it played out.
I'm glad it played out as straightforward. The fact that it was as straightforward as it was the surprise.
Yeah, and I think Corey Stoll was a really good bad guy for what there was.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think you need.
I like Corey
You
Stoll.
don't need Loki every time. I know that Marvel have got this quote unquote villain problem, but stop looking at it like a big picture. Look at it as individual films.
Yeah.
Like, every time I get pissed off with you when you're just like, Doctor Strange is great, it's maybe not in the top 5. Like, take it for what it is. I think it was the best Doctor Strange film that they could have made about time.
As Alan Frank is wont to say, it was the best film of its title that I've seen all week. And
That
yeah,
is the faintest of praises.
that is something Alan will say an awful
Isn't it?
lot.
But yeah, speaking of Avengers Infinity War, they've now started shooting it, as you said.
They have, haven't they? Because they put out like a
They
sizzle,
put out a
thing,
behind the
concept sizzle reel.
scenes, concept teaser video trailer. We found.
Something like that. Wasn't it?
That confirms that we're going to be seeing Guardians, or at least Star Wars
And Spider-Man. They've answered that one, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which
Did you ever think you were going to live long enough to see that?
I never in a million years did. Mind you, having said that, I never in a million years thought I would see Civil War turn into a movie, and I suppose I kind of have. I've kind of seen it done, but I've seen a movie loosely based on Civil War, and I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
Are you happy because you don't sound happy?
No. It's as close. No, it's as close as we're going to get, and it's far closer than I ever thought we'd get.
Yeah,
But you could never do the actual comic book as a movie.
and I
because
don't think it would have worked.
Too many things are owned by too many different companies.
Well, it's not just that. It's not just all the rights issues. I just think there's too much going on, and I feel like they did it in the right way.
There's also the problem that
for the story.
to accurately do a Civil War movie and do the property justice, it would have to be 9 hours long, and an hour and a half of that would follow the Thing to Paris.
Exactly, and it's already fairly long.
Yeah, you'd have to follow the Thing to Paris. You'd have to kill off Jon Favreau. There's loads of things that would have to happen.
Nobody wants to kill off.
No one wants to kill off Jon. I
Hogan?
think he gets pushed
Happy
off.
Hogan?
I think he gets pushed off a walkway. I think that's what happens.
That's not a way to go.
No.
I want to imagine, like, if he does ever die, it's because it's just going to be, like, of old age, and he's going to be watching Downton Abbey reruns in his bed.
And he's married to Pepper at that point as well. So
Really?
Yeah.
Happy Hogan.
Happy Hogan.
Very
Pepper
happy
Potts.
Hogan.
Yeah, very happy Hogan.
Yeah.
But that's how they consciously uncoupled. He got pushed off a walkway.
His last words were, goop! As he fell down.
Consciously uncoupled from gravity.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Let's stick with Marvel, but not the MCU. So this kind of came out of nowhere last week. So Sophie Turner, who plays... What's her face?
Sansa Stark, yeah.
Sansa Stark in the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And is in X-Men Apocalypse as
Jeannie Grey.
Jeannie Grey.
Yep.
Said that they're planning to shoot a new X-Men film this year. And everyone was like, All right, so it's going to be
Did
like
I hear-
New Mutants then or something?
Did I hear X-Men Supernova?
Yes, you did. Which... What?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
really know who was kind of calling out for that after Apocalypse. Like, I really hope that like that was it for that kind of era, and then we were going to go to New Mutants. Or
I thought
the thing
we were
that Josh
done.
Boone is doing.
I thought we were done, and I kind of,
Yeah.
I like the idea of spin-offs, and I like the fact that we could just keep James McAvoy as your anchor character at different points in history.
Well, that's the interesting thing because he posted a picture of himself having lunch or dinner, some kind of meal with Simon Kinberg.
I've seen a picture of him with Sir Pat Stew as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like a merge one. So Pat Stew is there, Simon Kinberg is there, and now Simon Kinberg is being linked to writing the film and also directing it.
Yeah, making his debut because he's
Yeah.
written basically everything else that's big in the last couple of years.
Absolutely, and he's known primarily more as a producer, and he's not without controversy because he was behind Fantastic Four, but then he was also linked to Force Awakens. So
Yeah.
swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's apparently going to be called X-Men Supernova. I don't know how excited I am for it, really, because I would rather... I don't know. If it's going to be the Dark Phoenix storyline,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
I don't know. I'm kind of half and half on that one, but
Well, they sort of semi-tried it.
They
Or at least
kinda did.
Brett Ratner did, and now that has been fully retconned.
yeah, thanks for that, Brett Ratner. Yeah, thanks for that. So I have a bit of Marvel news actually for you, and it relates to Logan. And so, as you may know, Logan obviously has screened this past week. The embargo has dropped on Logan. I think it's 10 days in advance.
That's
so
fair enough, but not my embargo.
No, that's fine. But so obviously there are reviews out there. To my knowledge, there's been 2 press shows in the UK of Logan. Now, I attended the second. That was Monday night. And I believe there was one in the evening. I think it might have been Thursday or Friday the week before. Funny story. In the time between that first screening and now, Fox went and adjusted the running time of Logan. They added 3 minutes to it. Now, I went to the second... This happened, I think, over the weekend. They announced there is now a post-credits thing. It wasn't on the press print. It's now been added.
Yeah.
So, of course, I then had my screening and thought, well, I've got to stick around and check. It wasn't on the version that I saw. There is apparently a post-credits scene. And the rumours for this vary wildly. Because, I mean, there's the popular rumour that there's a popular rumour that Ryan Reynolds is turning up as Deadpool.
Yeah, which has kind of been debunked. But
Kind of been debunked. There's another rumour...
suffices to say, I don't want to know anything about it.
There's another rumour that it's maybe setting up for more Wolverine, which is kind of weird because...
This is supposedly his last
Yeah,
turn
supposedly
as
his last
Wolverine.
turn. I'm intrigued. I'm genuinely intrigued. And don't get me wrong, I say I saw Logan. I liked it enough to want to go and see it again. I think just for this post-credits thing, I'd want to know. I'm a completist. I have to know how that's ending. So, yeah, there's going to be a post-credits thing. Stick around afterwards. And that's been the case, though, for the last 3 X-Men films, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like people would just be doing
Last
that
3
anyway.
plus Deadpool.
Even if there wasn't some kind of, like, big announcement about
But I
it.
think there is. I will confirm this. I will find out.
It's been said that there is going to be one. But, I mean, obviously this isn't MCU, but MCU tend to do that as well. Whenever they have, like, sort of pre-screenings and stuff, they leave out the post-credits.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
they
yeah,
put that
they do.
out for the general public, which is nice and it's good.
Well, famously, Iron Man, the very first Iron Man, got put out without its post-credit sequence to the press.
Don't tell me what it is. I don't want to spoil it. By
Well,
a film that's been out.
I went to
Somebody is.
I went to a preview screening, like a public preview of the first Iron Man film, and it didn't have it on there. I went back 12 hours later to a regular non-preview screening, and the credit sequence was on there. I was very, very drunk by the time I saw the second screening. And, yeah.
For the post-credits is the first time you see Sam Jackson as
It
Nick
is,
Fury,
yeah.
is it not?
Yeah. I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative.
Boom.
I know.
Everyone goes
Wow.
mad.
But, yeah, I also still want to know to this day how Nick Fury knows how to turn Jarvis off, but never really explained.
He's got a secret code under his eye patch.
Secret code.
Yeah.
Mind you, then again, doesn't Phil Coulson has a handprint for some reason in the Stark server that he could literally just press his entire hand to the glass and shut a building down.
Yeah.
But these things don't warrant explanation. Let's talk about Sweet Dreams then.
Yeah, I've heard they are made of cheese.
Who am I to disagree?
Who am I to disagree?
Right, so latest film from Marco Belluccio. It's a French-Italian production, and it's based. This is the story of Massimo, who we see as a child and then we see as an adult, and it's a very non-linear film. It hops all around the place. For the most part, we get Massimo in his adult years, as played by Valerio. What's his surname? Mastandrea. He has. basically he has issues relating to having lost his mother at an early age. He's grown up to become a journalist, and he's had this kind of storied life as a journalist. And in his adult years, he's struggling to function. He strikes up a relationship with a young a young psychiatrist played by Berenice Bejo. How do I say her name?
Oh, the French lady from The Artist.
Yeah, Berenice Bejo. She's Argentinian, actually. But
oh, is she?
She's Argentinian. There you go.
You sneaky artist. Isn't she married to Michael, the director of The Artist? What's his surname? He's got a really crazy surname.
I don't remember.
Has the Venice.
Do you know I did know, and I don't anymore.
Let's say Berenice Bejo.
Yeah, okay. So Berenice Bejo. Most of us think of her as the French Rachel McAdams. It's actually the Argentinian Rachel McAdams, but still. But, so he strikes up a relationship with the psychiatrist played by Berenice Bejo, and this is it. It's a drama about sort of overcoming these things, and it's not great. Really, I've got to be honest. It's not great. It's quite slow. It has serious fundamental issues as regards its performance, as casting. It's overlong at 2.25 hours. I mean, it's 2 hours 14. It does feel it. It's nicely shot by Bellocchio, but the problem at the centre of it all is Valerio Mastandrea. He plays at such a low energy kind of performance that it's very, very difficult to buy his character as a journalist, and B, one that's had the career he has, because his character seems like he's the kind who wouldn't ask a single question to anyone ever, lest anyone notice him. But it just doesn't quite work. Having said that, Berenice Bejo lights the whole thing up. She's only got a very, very small role. She's billed as a name on the poster star, but she's got a very small role, and she can absolutely light this film up.
Yeah, she's a really good actress. I like her a lot.
But the problem is the film simply isn't any good, and there will be no sweet dreams of this one. Let's put it that way. Just not an awful lot going for it. I mean, I can't. You obviously don't seem to be terribly excited to see it, I don't imagine.
I mean, this is about as excited as I get for anything nowadays. 2017.
Nobody tells me nothing.
I'm 27. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair enough. But no, I don't know. News me, Mr. Allen. News me.
News you.
News me.
I'm going to stick with superheroes just because we all like to talk about
There's
it.
Loads of superhero news all the time. Go on.
I mean, this is the weirdest news I think we've had so far this year.
Gerard Butler is joining the X-Men.
Oh my god, I would love that. Who would he play?
Wolverine, clearly.
No, I don't want him as a new Wolverine.
They're going to have to do a younger Wolverine at some point. So, I
want Beast to have like a Scottish cousin. McBeast.
Hang on, he's already McCoy. He's already Hank McCoy. He
exactly. So
Scottish.
You've got the Scottish lineage.
Totally,
Anyway, this was bizarre, wasn't it? So Mel Gibson is currently still, can you believe it, in talks to direct the Suicide Squad sequel.
And do you know the really?
And I'm sure on the 1st of April we're going to be told this is a massive prank.
Right. Apparently, Mel Gibson has said the characters really intrigue him. That's fair enough.
And the cast really intrigues
him.
Which,
as Calvin brilliantly pointed out to me, canonically, Harleen Quinzel is Jewish. But that's neither here nor there. We're just going to leave that information out there and let you think of it what you will. I'm just saying, don't jeopardise this comeback, Mel. Come on, you worked hard for this. Hacksaw Ridge is a goddamn masterpiece.
And I never thought he would be nominated for Best Director.
Exactly.
Again.
You got an Oscar nom.
That film is so good.
Yeah, he's deserved it. Don't ruin this, Mel. Don't ruin it. Just ride this out. Take a better project. Ride it out. Don't get lumbered in with this DC thing. Although Mel Gibson has such an established pattern with Warner Brothers. I mean,
he has, yeah.
You look at it, the biggest films of his career, obviously the Lethal Weapon ones. That's Warner Brothers. You know, I think Man with Man Without a Face. That was Warner Brothers, I think.
Yeah, that's not an essential. That's not a massive film.
His comeback film. Well, that was his directorial debut, though. His comeback film, Bloodfather. That was Warner Brothers.
That was Warner's, yeah.
Yeah,
so he's got that link there. He's currently saying that the talks are akin to like a first date. Is what he said, which is nice.
Oh man, I want to know what a first date with Mel Gibson would play like. Does he just pound booze and slap you on the ass?
So. I can't.
Call me sugar.
I can't see this coming to fruition, but I'm glad to know that weird things like this can still happen in the world.
It's nice to have news that you just think, huh.
Right. That'll never
enough.
happen. And if it does happen, why?
Yeah,
why is it happening?
Absolutely fair enough.
But it's good to have like intriguing meetings going on and stuff. But yeah, we shall see. Anyway, but yeah, some talks that have not worked out. Will Smith was going to be in the Dumbo live action, the Tim Burton Dumbo. He's not going to be in it anymore.
Oh, thank God, we might get Bad Boys on
We
time.
might get
now.
Bad Boys, and I think that's possibly why. But Will Smith's career choices have been scrutinised so much.
They're so weird, that's why.
Yeah,
but they've always been weird. They've been weird for 10 years now, and we've kind of let him go.
I'm not going to do Matrix, I'm going to do Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
because nothing says creativity like a giant spider.
What's his name, the guy?
John Peters.
John Peters.
You know, spiders are the fiercest killers in the animal kingdom.
Let me tell you something about polar bears.
Right, if you don't know what joke this is about John Peters and the giant spider, just go to Wikipedia and type in John Peters, there's no H in John Peters, and prepare to learn about the single most
John Peters,
man.
Giant spider.
Yeah, just honest to God, the man is deranged. What's the documentary, Death of Superman Lives? If you watch that...
That was a good film, really good film.
Oh my God, he's hysterical in it. He's clinically insane.
Oh yeah. I'm going to have to watch that again, I think.
Like, he's an older man as well, so God forbid he ever gets, like, dementia or anything like that. He could
was a
potentially
hairdresser.
become a supervillain.
He was a hairdresser to, like, the likes of Barbra Streisand.
If he lost his marbles, he could become a world-threatening supervillain.
Do you know what I
I'm
want to
not
see?
kidding.
I want to see a film about John Peters.
What?
Because in the many interviews that we've seen of him, he said that he was from the streets. He was a street fighter, and then became a hairdresser.
Because that happens
and then was
all
a
the time.
producer.
Yeah, that totally happens. Well, this is a story. I read an interview. There was a very rare interview with him recently. I've got the link saved. I should send it to you. They interviewed John Peters, a genuine heart-to-heart interview with him to address his legacy and the legend of John Peters. Yeah. And certain things do come out in it. So, for instance, he got his start, because he was in a relationship with Barbra Streisand. He was a hairdresser. He started dating her. And they were sort of an on-off power couple for like a decade. But also, they're still really close friends. Which is...
Wonder how James Brolin feels about that.
I just can't imagine, though. Just imagine one of your mates is Barbra Streisand. That's a surreal experience. That's got to be weird.
Yeah. I don't think so. I always think about Family Guy gag. And she's like, "Oh, James, I'm so happy I married a non-celebrity."
I know. I like James Brolin as well. I mean, I don't think he's quite as cool as Josh, but
yeah, I like him. Also, in The West Wing for a brief period.
Yes,
plays a Republican.
Before the Southern Fury screen the other day, I believe it was Charlotte from Evening Standard was talking to me about Jonathan Skeech. We're talking about how he'd been around and he disappeared.
Yeah.
Well, he disappeared for many years. He was the guy you always used to get when you needed a younger, better-looking Peter Gallagher, and then he vanished and then turned up as Jonah Hex on Legends of Tomorrow, and no one can explain that. And her response was, "I've never seen Jonah Hex." I went, "Oh, yeah, you totally should. It's
You're
awful.
missing out.
It's awful."
Yeah.
I went, but, and we started going through the cast. I went, "Oh, yeah, Michael Fassbender was the villain." She's like, "What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?"
Malkovich.
What's the thing? No, this is the thing. It apparently is not remembered that Michael Fassbender was one of the villains in there. And I was like, no, totally true.
Not
did that.
even the main bad guy.
Yeah. But that was Josh Brolin.
Kind of
wasn't
like
it?
a goon, isn't he?
Jonah Hex.
Yeah, which I think could have been a good film, but for whatever
been.
reason, just did not.
The Legends version's pretty good.
Yeah.
But,
and I'll say about Peter Gallagher. Peter Gallagher is now like aged into his eyebrows.
God, yeah. Peter Gallagher has grown through middle age to become the sexy middle-aged version of Peter Gallagher.
He's like a fine wine, that man.
He is.
He's like a fine Clooney.
It's just like smoky cool. That's
Isn't
what it
he?
is.
Yeah.
Smoked cool.
Have you seen the new episodes of New Girl when he plays Schmidt's dad?
Schmidt's dad.
Which
You're
is like,
oh boy.
It's perfect casting because there is an episode of VOC where the guy who plays Schmidt plays a younger version of Sandy Cohen.
No way. Is that right?
I think it's maybe season 3 of VOC.
I forgot most of season 3.
Yeah, go back and watch it. But that's a really. Yeah,
I got tired of that whole Volchek Johnny storyline. By the end,
and that's season 3. Oh.
Yeah, season 3 was one of those years of television where I was just like, can someone please kill Marissa? And then it got to the end, and I'm like, thank God you killed Marissa.
Finally. Yeah, she was like the worst.
And then season 4, we get Autumn Risa, and life becomes good again because Autumn Risa is amazing and should be worshipped as a goddess.
I'm a big fan of this.
Yeah, I can't even remember the name of that character, but what was her character's name?
I don't know.
No?
I can't remember. Do you have some more casting news?
Go for it.
So this dropped this morning. The Predator has started filming.
Yes, someone's joined us. Who is it?
Yeah, it is Alfie Allen.
Oh.
Reek himself. from Game of Thrones.
I love that Reek has Predator.
Yeah, this happened today as well.
Reek has Predator, and who's the other one? Ramsey. Ramsey's
Bolton.
gone over to Fox Marvel.
Yeah.
And he's going to be... this is the part I love. Do you know about the character he's playing? He's going to be in the Inhumans.
Yeah.
He's the brother
Maximus, isn't it?
Yeah, he's the brother of the king who's trying to usurp him and undermine him.
Yeah,
And
it kind of feels like Loki.
Really?
But I'm fine with that, to be honest.
Well, apparently...
Who's going to be Black Bolt?
This is the thing.
Who's gonna be Black Bolt?
Apparently, they are lining up the Inhumans to be sort of pitched as this sort of superhero Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, cool.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah,
Because it was originally going to be a film, and now it's going to be an 8-part series on ABC, not Fox. So the same station that has
not
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
Fox Marvel.
which is bizarre when you think about it. But if they're going to do it, it's good that they're not going to be the same show. It's going to have sort of like a contrast.
It's interesting.
But the first 2 episodes are going to be shown in IMAX.
This is the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is leading many to think, oh, good,
Interesting.
at least we'll get costumes.
At least we'll get costumes. But I am all on board for that. But Alfie Allen joined the Predator, and that's already got a good cast. And I do like Alfie Allen.
Alfie Allen...
Apart from the fact that he killed John Wick's dog.
Yeah,
what were you thinking?
That's the bit.
Lily
Come
Allen's
on,
brother.
Come on, Alfie. You knew better than this. Come on. That man was John Wick.
I hope that Keith Allen is just like... Alfie.
Keith Allen. As soon as Alfie Allen comes home, Keith Allen just hands him a scotch, punches him in the gut, says, and then, as soon as his wife dies, you kill his dog. He wasn't the boogeyman. He's the guy you get to kill the fucking boogeyman.
Whatever casting have we got? Tim Minchin is going to be in Robin Hood Origins.
Yes,
as
I heard
Friar
this.
Tuck.
I'm good with that.
I'm great with it. I love Tim
good with
Minchin.
that.
I've seen him live a couple of times. and
I'm
he's
wondering
really good.
how he's going to play it.
Well, as far as I'm aware, as far as I know, in fact, he's never been in a film.
Has he not?
I don't think he's been in a film.
Do you know why I'm
He's
confused?
acted before, and he was in Jesus Christ Superstar.
I'm getting thrown because he's in an entire season of Californication.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And I'd somehow forgotten that he was
I
a
feel like
rock
I've never
star,
seen him
I
in a
think.
film.
Doesn't he do a
That
musical?
makes sense.
I think he does a musical in Californication.
Well, he's written musicals in real life as well. He did Groundhog
Matilda.
Day, did Matilda. Really just excellent dude.
Yeah, I saw Groundhog Day, but really just felt very repetitive. Anyway, Angela Lansbury.
Yeah, so she has joined Mary Poppins Returns because it's on its quest to have every single British person ever, apart from Emma Thompson at this point.
I mean, seriously, I mean, at this point, if...
Emma Thompson's got to have a cameo because obviously she's in Saving Mr. Banks. And
yeah, every British person needs to be in this. I'm pretty sure Ronan Keating's turning up any day now. And...
Ronan Keating?
I need an obscure British person.
First of all...
He's Irish.
He's Irish.
Yeah.
Second of all, not an actor, a singer.
No, he's been in films. Ronan Keating has been in
IMDb
films.
I go.
Did you not know this?
Why would I want to know
I
this?
reviewed them before your time, admittedly, but yeah, Ronan Keating has been in films.
Let's find out what films
I'm
Ronan
sorry.
Keating's been in.
Oh, we are getting a 4th Purge movie, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that.
Oh, okay.
You tell me. You beat me to it.
I was going to give you details,
Give
man.
me the details then. Give me the deets.
Okay, so you know James DeMonaco wrote and directed the first 3, directed the trilogy. Well, at the end of election year, that story's kind of done. The whole Purge storyline is kind of closed out, and it has a beginning, middle, and end.
Where does one go from there?
Well, this is the thing. No one knows where the 4th is going to go. James DeMonaco is going to write it. However, he's only going to serve as a producer, not a director. He's going to help the rest of the producers pick a new director. So this could go any which way but loose. We don't know. Yeah. We don't know when it's going to be set. We don't know who's going to direct it. We just know there is going to be a 4th Purge. The Purge.
Did you exercise before that stretch?
I think I did. I needed to because I feel very strained. There's one story we haven't, a biggie we haven't touched on, which is Helen Mirren.
Yeah, right. I thought this was just already prior knowledge.
Well,
because it was just like obvious.
Yeah, it was an obvious rumour, and now it's sort of been confirmed by someone who's in the series but not actually in the new
this
one.
Film.
So we now know. In the Fate of the Furious, which is the 8th Fast and Furious movie, we now know who Helen Mirren's playing. If you don't want to know, skip forward 3 seconds from now. She's Jason Statham and Luke Evans' mum.
That was not 3 seconds.
Yeah, but they'll come back in about now.
Oh, hiya! Welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah, that was really great. Sorry, we didn't want to. We didn't want to really accidentally ruin. She was going to be playing like Dwayne Johnson's love interest and anything like that. But that's a power couple, isn't it? Imagine that power couple.
Oh, that film's got to be getting made,
Oh,
and you know that she'd sign up for that as well.
Miroc. Oh, that celebrity couple name just sells itself. Miroc. Yeah.
Although he is happily married and has a kid.
He does.
Do you think that he calls his kid the Pebble? So,
no, someone. I think it was a young boy with disability. I think was doing some fitness challenge and actually messaged The Rock, and he put it on his Instagram feed last week, and he calls himself Pebble. And The Rock thought it was adorable. And oh come on, he's got to call his kid Little Rock.
Little Rock.
Isn't that the name of one of the characters from Zombieland? Little Rock. Isn't that
Abigail Breslin?
Abigail Breslin.
Yeah. Who's Emma Stone's character? Which part of America is she?
She's not Dakota, is she?
Quite possibly.
Woody
Harrelson is Tallahassee.
And Columbus.
Yeah.
God, I love that movie. I really do.
That film needs a rewatch.
It does need a rewatch. I feel bad because I rewatch it about every 4 months.
It's great though.
And I never get tired of a brunette Emma Stone in leather, to be honest. But wandering off again. Anyway, so did you find out about Ronan Keating?
Yeah, right. So he's in Keith Lemon, the film.
He is.
I hate when I'm talking about this. He's in Postman Pat, the movie. He's the singing voice of Postman Pat. I feel like I'm not counting these as performances in films. For one, he's doing the thing that he's paid, I'm assuming, decent money for, which is just singing.
Yeah.
And then another, he's playing himself. So unless he's playing a heightened version of himself, a la Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm,
wouldn't that be nice?
I'm not counting it. Oh, he's in another film called Goddess, where he plays a character. He plays a person.
He does. He does star in Goddess. He's a face on the poster for Goddess. But that's an intriguing. Well, yeah, but he does act. That's the whole thing. He does act. So I'm right. You're wrong. You've now learnt. Do you feel like you've grown from this experience, Mr. Allen?
I feel like I need to see it to determine whether you can actually say that he acts.
Right. Okay. Just take it from me. You never need to actually see Goddess.
Well, I've seen the poster, and that tells me everything I need to know.
Yes, that really does. It's a terrible movie.
It appears to have 2 small boys strapped to his legs.
I'm not sure. I can't really remember. I'm pretty sure that's the movie that I called an X Factor sob story dragged out to a full-length narrative.
I like his shirt, though. It's like a yellow tartan. Like a yellow.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. It does look like the kind of thing you'd wear, actually.
I feel like I already own it, actually.
You probably do. You have quite the array of checkered shirts.
Yeah, do you know in Tim Burton's Batman where he goes down to the cave and then you see all the bat suits?
Yeah.
I've essentially got that, but for checkered shirts.
Oh, I always imagine your wardrobe doing more like Lego Batman's collection of suits. That's reggae, man. But, should we talk about Best real quick then, which is the last film we got to review this week? This is a documentary about, would you imagine, George Best.
Oh yeah, he was a footballer.
He was a footballer, and that's to be honest with you,
liked to drink.
That's kind of all I know. Yeah, he was a footballer. He liked to drink. Yeah. Had a liver transplant. Kept drinking. Died. Yeah. And that's the Dennis Leary version of a plot synopsis. So this is the documentary. It takes you back from his start with Manchester United, how he became the legend that he was, how he discovered he did like a drink, did like the ladies, and how this would lead to his eventual downfall. Who is that you're showing me on a picture there?
That's a picture of John Peters.
That is absolutely
in the
wonderful.
80s.
He was a lot more handsome man in the 80s.
Yeah.
He was. Now he just kind of looks...
You can see that he was a hairdresser, though. I mean...
Oh, yeah. He kind of
incredible.
looks like a shaved mongoose now. That's the problem. Like
he does now.
A plump, shaved mongoose.
Who would shave a mongoose?
Lunatics.
That's your first sign.
Lunatics fattened up and shaved a mongoose. That mongoose is John Peters, and his name is still on the DCEU movies.
Is it?
Yes. Did you?
Oh, that's great.
Have you not heard that?
No, I'm going to.
John Peters
I'm sorry for interrupting George Best.
He made millions on Man of Steel. He never showed up a single day on Man of Steel. He's earning millions from these movies. It was actually a thing.
That man is a genius.
Yeah. John Peters, because he's so closely tied to these films, he's a producer on all of them.
I feel like his hair just makes money now.
Wouldn't surprise me. Something would.
Do you know, like Fry mixes on hair gel in Futurama?
Yeah,
yeah. He just
totally
he like rubs it and dollars fall out.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We know what Best is about. Here's a clip.
I'm working for Cher, living with her in Beverly Hills. We get a phone call to the house from a man called Henry Weinberg, I think it was, Elizabeth Taylor's boyfriend at the time, and says George would like you to come to his party in Hermosa Beach. So he picks me up, drives me down to Hermosa Beach. There's no party. There's George in his flip-flops and his shorts and his T-shirt, and there's me all dressed up. And he's sitting at the bar all by himself.
So, just one of the interviewees there. Best is actually, it's not a bad documentary. It's just, it offers absolutely nothing new. I mean, literally, you just proved it yourself by saying, yeah, he's the footballer who liked to drink. That's kind of the story. That's what we all know. And we've all seen the story covered in so many different ways, particularly because he only died, a decade ago? Was it 12 years ago, George Best?
Roundabout, yeah.
And it was November. I was at Loughborough University at the time, I think. And this thing, in the wake of his actual death, there's been so much coverage over the years, so many different takes on the George Best story, that really it's a hard subject to provide new material for. Now, Daniel Gordon, to be fair to him, has a background as a documentary filmmaker, has a preoccupation with football anyway. He did the Hillsborough documentary. He's done the Hillsborough episode of 30 for 30 as well. He has a pedigree in doing football documentaries, so you would expect from that then that he, of all people, would know you need to find something new to cover with this, because it's kind of been done. And he seems to have settled on, you know what we'll do? We'll show more of him in his prime. We'll show more of why he was a legend and why it was such a tragic loss when he finally left us. And for the most part, he succeeds in that. There's a lot more stuff than you're accustomed to about, here's George Best in his heyday, here's him throwing parties, here's him opening this bar, here's him... And you think, yes, okay, I like that. As the clip we just played kind of proved, it goes into lengths about his womanizing and things like that. But the problem is, that's only entertaining, really, for about the 15 minutes that they allow it to be the focus. Once you get past that, you're back to the same old story, and you're back to the same... And then he was just drinking too much, and then he needed a transplant, and then he, for some reason, against all advice, he started drinking it. You think, yeah, okay, now we're back to the Channel 4 coverage that we're all used to. And the problem is, you're not really selling this to me, aside from you've given me more of him in his prime. And that's a bit of a shame. There's also a noticeable lack of significant interview talent in there. There's no historical context placed on what George Best meant. There's a fleeting, quite lazy offhand reference to he was what Beckham was, Beckham is today. You know, he was doing the same kind of thing before then. You know, there would be no Beckham without George Best once upon a time. And you think, okay, that's a fleeting reference. It would be nice if you had modern footballers, for instance. If you had contemporary footballers talking about how they live up to the legacy left behind by George Best, particularly given what football culture is like now. Given that sort of a context, wouldn't you like to hear footballers from this era look back on George Best and say, that's how he ended, this is the effect it has? That's fascinating stuff, and yet it shies away from it. And it's a real shame from someone who's worked on 30 for 30 and thus knows what a gritty and insightful documentary should be. And I felt very let down. But, I mean, do you have any interest in seeing another George Best documentary?
I've not seen one.
You've never seen one?
I still don't.
You've never seen one, and you know that level of the story, so you're okay.
Yeah, like, I know that he was an insanely talented player.
Oh, you actually, when you see the archival footage, the guy was like a surgeon. It was insane.
It was incredible, yeah, absolutely. And I know that his son is called Callum.
His son is Callum. His wife was Angie, I think. And
yeah.
Alex, sorry.
Yeah. But I'm obviously not a football fan.
No, I'm not really a football guy, to be honest,
but he seemed like he led an interesting life. And I remember he was once on A Question in Sport. I remember watching that episode when I was a kid, and it was it was funny. Yeah,
his appearance on Wogan does come up as well in the film. They obviously have to show that clip, and yeah it is a shame. But I say it's always been a tragic story, the George Best story. It's always been a story of wasted talent. Rather than go down the route of let's play this in the Amy way, which would have been the smart play. You could genuinely have done this in the Amy-like Asif Kapadia way, but they go for something a bit more ESPN. In fact, it is actually produced by ESPN.
Oh, is it?
The film is actually produced by ESPN. So it does have a lineage, a sort of tie to 30 for 30, but it just doesn't quite live up to it, which is a shame.
That's a shame. Hey, speaking of Wogan, have we used the Nicolas Cage appearance on Wogan for Moment of Cage?
We have not, so we'll do that this week.
Let's do that.
Let's do that this week.
Here it is. Your Moment of Cage.
You have been quoted as saying that if you hadn't been an actor, you'd be dead now.
Well, you know, maybe I was a little bit far-fetched. I guess I had this need, to do kind of crazy things, and if I hadn't become an actor, I used to like the idea of robbing banks.
Yeah.
So at least now I don't really have to rob a bank. I can just do it in a movie. Safer that way.
Well, if you wanted to, the guys and I, we'd go out and we'll help. If you want to get it off your chest, we'll rob a couple of banks.
You want to go rob a bank with me?
Well, they're all closed now. We'll have to wait until Tuesday.
You get off work soon?
It's a bank holiday, so Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay, we'll make a date.
All right.
See, you've come over here To get away from all the excitement? Or are you going to work here? What are you
No, I came over here to go on your show.
Oh.
Yeah.
You see?
You see?
People still care. Yeah.
Yeah.